Hello. I've had a very interesting week and just wanted to share what all happened in my reality. So really the major stuff started happening on Monday, which would be 6 days ago. And let me first mention here that food has been on my consciousness a lot, and especially in the last 2 or 3 months, having transitioned to more raw diet and even limiting even more the cooked foods that I've eaten. It seems like things have gotten better. I've obviously lost weight. I don't miss it. I'm not any weaker. In fact, I'm stronger. I might look more skinny, which I'm looking at my face and I'm like, wow, I look skinny. And I did in the last video, even before I did some fasting. But okay, so that sets it up that that's been in my reality. Food has been on my mind a lot. So on Monday, had a few things to eat. Had my normal fruit that I've been eating a lot, and by the end of the day, I don't know, I was ready for something different, and I've been ready for this different experience for a while. I can see now that my addiction to food has really been front and center in my life. I mean, obviously my videos aren't really about that, and obviously I'm not like overweight, so it's not what you would call an overeating addiction or anything like that. So but it's still there, and I really discovered it more after doing more Qigong and looking more into liquidarianism, breatharianism, and what this research has kind of led me to realize is that everybody that eats is addicted to food. Sounds strange, but if people eat, okay, most of them are addicted to food. They're not able to say necessarily, I'm going to stop eating tomorrow and then not for a while. And that isn't really how the other beings in nature are, since our food supply, for the most part in developed countries, is really consistent. So I can have year-round fruits that are only ripe within a very small window, but I can have them year-round. And this is true for everything else, really. The items that are in the grocery store change very little over the course of the year, except for a few local items that come in and out of season. For the most part, everything's based on grain and meat, and it's preserved. So this has kind of built up this somewhat unnatural way of being, to where people eat as much or more than they need to year round. And if you look at the way of nature, it's not really like that. There's periods where there's really nothing to eat, and animals will go into hibernation, or they'll migrate to find food, or they'll just wait it out. So, now you can see what exactly has led me to fasting, which then led to these other experiences that I had. And this is nothing really, extraordinary. There, for pretty much forever, people will have spiritual experiences when they stop eating, or when they deprive themselves of sleep, like shamans might do, or anything really that is changing the nature of your daily experience, which unfortunately a lot of people don't really change the nature of their daily experience very much. They'll, go to bed at the same time, wake up at the same time, go to work at the same time, eat at similar times, eat similar foods at similar times, and it just keeps going and going. And it seems to be missing the ebb and flow of the Tao, to where there's never an emptiness in their lives. They're always cramming themselves to one degree or another with one substance or another substance. So it's very, very strange looking at people now that I have a more archetypal picture of what healthy people should actually look like. In my intuitive subconscious, whatever, there's like this blueprint in my head of what looking at other human beings that are healthy should look like. And unfortunately, there really aren't. Even myself. I look at myself right now, I can see toxins in my face. I could, and pretty much everybody has them. If you want to even look through various YouTube videos, and it's kind of covered up. If you see even on like TV, where people look so perfect, but they're all wearing makeup. Most of the women of our society wear makeup to, cover their imperfections. Well, if there's like a little dark spot, or if there's this or that zit or pimple or whatever, it's most likely toxins from the air or eating. And we never really let ourselves detoxify if we don't ever stop eating for a little while at least, or other rigorous detox plans, which I don't think that the herbal detoxes really do as much as the fasting has done for me. My eyes are whiter, reality is more clear. I had to kind of go through hell for a few days to get to where I'm feeling awesome. And I'd still be going through hell right now if I hadn't eaten and stopped the detox process. So that's been really interesting, noting that that no one really lives up to the archetypal blueprint of what healthy human beings should look like. I mean, that's okay. Everybody's still a spirit. Everybody's still light. So, it's not like I'm upset about it or anything. It's just an interesting thing to observe. So I fasted for 2 60-hour periods over the last 6 days. Well, the second one was more like 63 hours. And so basically for the whole week, I probably had less than 1,000 calories until this morning. And before I stopped eating, I had a meditation session, which led me to this. And I've been watching a lot of the Breatharian videos on Supreme Master TV, and it seems like my consciousness has been directed in that area. Even from you can see when one of my earlier videos, RE Vegetarianism, I think it was, where I was talking about everybody being beings of light and already breatharians. And that seems to be proving itself in my mind, although it's a hard reality to get into, mostly because of, like I was talking about earlier, the addiction to food. So I had this meditation session, and during this session, there was a thunder and lightning storm outside, and and actually one of the songs that I listened to had rain and thunder and lightning in the background during the meditation while that was going on outside. So that was kind of the background, and in my meditation I broke through into an angelic realm, and I consider it to be an internal plane where I can access this with my angel self, since it's a like home plane. I can just be there. It's not like I'm going somewhere to an angelic plane somewhere far away. It's an internal reality that's, there all the time. So I didn't really know, what was going on. Look around and everything's so bright and awesome looking. And all of a sudden here comes Yeshua, or Jesus, as it's the English version. So I see Jesus, and he's flanked by, a few angels. And I'm not in any way portraying the excitement I felt at that time, because I've seen Jesus a few times since then. And this is not something that I'm really have been that prone to, seeing ascended masters like that. Besides the angels, I will see the angels on a daily basis. But other than that, until that meditation, that hadn't happened. So that was a really new and fascinating and wonderful experience. And it was on my consciousness, and it's been driving itself into my consciousness, this breatharian reality. So I had to ask Jesus. And he told me that yes, this is a good reality for me to move into. It's something I should definitely pursue. It was really short communication, because after that I was just like, finally had this like grip on my heart where I knew that this conscious idea that had been nagging at my mind, it just flowed. It just finally felt right, completely right. Because logic, obviously the logic of our trained logic is that breatharianism is fake, and that we need food, and that we'll die if we don't have food. That's the trained reality that we live in, that keeps us in the program, working, for a place to live, You know, food in our mouths, clothes. Well, guess what? Food and clothing, no, not food, clothing and housing are abundant now. The main thing that's getting scarce is food. And this is being used to enslave people. You know, they'll say, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to buy food at the grocery store if I don't have a job? So then you go and you work. And then boom, you're a slave to one degree or another. So after this, I was really inspired. And so I stopped eating and drinking for several periods. Over the first 60 hours, I did have some juice and started drinking again for the first 60 hours. So there wasn't a complete fast, but it was really, really, you know, juice fasting basically. So that was a hardcore detox, and my main thing that's kind of kept me from fasting is I lose weight like crazy. You know, I have a high metabolism, and I've realized that the high metabolism actually means that I'm not as blocked up as people who have lived longer because I haven't eaten as much food, I haven't lived as long. So my propensity to returning to my natural size um, is not as covered up by various toxins and whatever else that eventually slow down people's metabolisms, and then they build up and build up and build up, and then all of a sudden they have this, you know, 30 something 40 something belly, and then 40 something 50 something heart attack or diabetes or whatever, or they get lucky and then not. So I've been more okay with that, and I've realized that uh, food doesn't really necessarily build muscle. Prana builds muscle, which has to be inspired by exercise. So if there's not a need for the muscle that is inspired by exercise, it won't be there, you know, regardless of what you eat. And there are certain foods that will, yeah, they'll build up your muscles and make them look bigger, but it's a lot of water. And you'll see some of the bigger athletes. Yeah, they look like they have those big muscles. It's really kind of false. They have a lot of fat and a lot of water in there. So you'll see them when they're not flexing. It's just kind of like this flabby shape, a watery shape. It's not actual tone, which the strength comes from the tone. Okay, guess that's going to do it for part 1. I'm going to go ahead and do this 2 parts. Thank you for watching the first part. Namaste.